Most people waste their first Grand Canyon trip. They spend hours driving when they should be exploring. They look at viewpoints without actually experiencing the canyon, and they leave thinking, that was beautiful. I just wish I had planned it better. Whether you have 2 days, 4 days, or you haven't been to the Grand Canyon in decades and just want to experience it differently next time, this is how to have an incredible Grand Canyon vacation without wasting your time, money, or energy. First, let me answer the two questions everyone wants to know. One, what is the one thing you absolutely cannot miss at the Grand Canyon? That would be getting below the rim and inside the actual canyon. I know the viewpoints are amazing. I know sunrise and sunset are unforgettable. I know that the first look over the edge of the canyon is something you will remember forever. However, the Grand Canyon was not just created to be looked at. Now, before you tell me, girl, I am not hiking into the Grand Canyon, I didn't say you need to spend 8 hours walking an incline. Even walking a mile below the rim completely changes your perspective. The moment you leave the rim and start walking into the canyon, everything changes. The walls get taller, the crowds disappear, and you finally understand the scale of what you're seeing. You do not need to hike to the bottom. In fact, most visitors should not attempt that. A shorter hike like South Kaibab Trail to Ooh Ah Point or Cedar Ridge gives you completely different perspective without turning your vacation into a survival challenge. The second question, what should you skip? I would say trying to see everything in one trip. I know that sounds strange because you've probably traveled a long way to get here and you want to maximize your time. The problem is the Grand Canyon is massive. You cannot collect every viewpoint, every trail, every overlook, and every experience in just one trip. The people who enjoy this park the most are not the people who see the most things. They are the people who choose the right things and actually experience them. So let's talk about how I would plan this trip. First, how many days do you actually need? One day is possible. I mean, you can see the highlights, take some incredible photos, and leave saying, wow, that was amazing. Yet 2 days is the minimum I would recommend. 3 days is the sweet spot for most first time visitors, and 4 days gives you the chance to slow down, add a bucket list experience, and explore beyond the typical South Rim visit. Before you arrive, there are two decisions that can completely change your experience. The first is where you stay. If you can stay inside Grand Canyon National Park, I highly recommend it. Yes, it costs a little bit more. Yes, it can be difficult to get reservations. However, waking up inside the park means you can grab your coffee and head out for sunrise instead of waking up early, sitting in traffic, and searching for parking with hundreds of other people who had the exact same idea as you. Future you will thank you for making that decision. If staying inside the park is not available, Tucson is your next best option. It's close, convenient, and gives you easy access to the South Rim. The second decision is figuring out what experiences are actually worth your time and money because the Grand Canyon gives you endless options for spending both. Some experiences are absolutely worth it, some depend on your travel style, and some I would skip. If you only have 2 days, this is exactly how I would spend them. Day one is your introduction to the Grand Canyon, and it starts with sunrise. I know waking up early on vacation feels like a personal attack, especially when your bed is comfortable and your coffee hasn't happened yet. However, sunrise at the Grand Canyon is one of those moments where you will be very glad you got out of bed. The canyon is quieter, the light changes every few minutes, and you get to experience one of the most incredible places on earth before the crowds arrive. After sunrise, explore the classic South Rim viewpoints. Mather Point is the obvious first stop, and there's a reason it's the most popular. It gives you that iconic first glimpse of the canyon that makes you stop and think, okay, this is actually bigger than I imagined. Then spend some time walking along the rim trail. This is one of my favorite recommendations because it gives you incredible views without requiring a major physical commitment. Now, one mistake I see people make is spending their entire day driving from viewpoint to viewpoint. They get out, take a picture, get back in the car, drive another few minutes, and repeat. The Grand Canyon deserves more than a checklist. Pick a few great viewpoints, slow down, sit there for a while, and actually experience where you are. Now, in the afternoon of day one, this is where you choose your adventure. If you want the biggest, I cannot believe I'm seeing this moment, this is where I would consider the helicopter ride. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it something everyone needs to do? No. Is it worth it for the right person? Absolutely. Seeing the Grand Canyon from above gives you a perspective you simply cannot get from the rim. The size, depth, and layers of the canyon become completely different when you're flying over it. I have an episode that includes whether the helicopter ride is worth the money, so check that out if you're debating whether the splurge belongs on your budget. If this is a once in a lifetime trip, you're not a big hiker, or you want to experience the canyon in a way most visitors never will, this might be the splurge that makes your trip unforgettable. End your first day with sunset. Do not skip sunset. You can spend thousands of dollars traveling to the Grand Canyon, and I promise you will not regret spending one evening sitting there watching the light change across the canyon walls. This is when the Grand Canyon looks completely different. The shadows get longer, the colors become richer, and this is the moment where you just stop taking pictures and stand there thinking, wow. Now, day two is your adventure day. This is the day I want you below the rim. Again, I'm not telling everyone to hike to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. That is a serious adventure that requires preparation. A shorter hike is the perfect way for most visitors to experience the canyon from a completely different perspective. Hike South Kaibab Trail to Ooh Point or Cedar Ridge, that's a great option. You get incredible views, you experience the switchbacks, and you get a taste of what makes hiking in the Grand Canyon so special. One important warning: the Grand Canyon is sneaky. Going down feels amazing. The trail is beautiful, the views are incredible, and your legs feel fantastic. The problem is, every step down eventually becomes a step back up. The canyon lets everyone go down. However, getting back out is where people discover they underestimated what they signed up for. Plan your turnaround point before you start, not when you're tired and already wishing you packed more snacks. I have another episode all about hiking into the canyon that you should check out. After your hike, spend the afternoon exploring Desert View Drive. This is absolutely worth your time. As you get away from the busiest areas, it gives you that different point of view of the canyon, and it's a great way to end your South Rim experience. Now, if you have 4 days, this is where the trip gets even better. Day three is your bucket list day. This is where you choose the experience that matches how you like to travel. For some people, that's the mule ride. The mule ride is one of the most unique ways to experience the Grand Canyon. You are literally following trails that have been used for generations and entering the canyon in a way most visitors never experience. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it physically demanding? Yes. Is it memorable? 100%. I covered the entire mule ride experience in another episode because there's definitely things you should know before booking that. Now, for other people, this is the day for a bigger hike. If hiking is your thing, this is where you create one of those "I cannot believe I actually did that" memories. And if neither of those sound like your perfect vacation, that's okay too. Slow down, enjoy more viewpoints, enjoy a meal inside the park, sit and watch the canyon. You do not get bonus points for being exhausted when you leave. Now, your fourth day is when I would add the North Rim. The North Rim of the Grand Canyon is not just another viewpoint, it feels like a completely different park. It's quieter, more forested, cooler, and has a completely different personality than the South Rim. The drive takes time, so give yourself the full day. My favorite stops there are Bright Angel Point, Cape Royal, and Point Imperial. If you're debating South Rim versus North Rim, I made an entire episode comparing them because the right choice depends on the type of experience you're looking for. Now, one optional extension I want to mention is Page, Arizona. If you're already road tripping through northern Arizona, adding things like Horseshoe Bend and Antelope Canyon can be an incredible addition. These are absolutely worth seeing. However, I would not rush through the Grand Canyon just to squeeze them in. The Grand Canyon deserves your attention too. If you do add these to your trip, watch episode 80 because I walk through exactly how I would plan those. So if I were planning my own Grand Canyon trip today, here's exactly what I would do. I would spend 3 days on the South Rim and 1 day on the North Rim. I would spend 1 day experiencing the viewpoints and scenic areas, 1 day getting below the rim, 1 day doing a bucket list experience like a helicopter or mule ride. That will give you the most perfect combination of iconic views, adventure, and experiences that make you feel like you actually visited the Grand Canyon instead of just driving through it. This episode wraps up our Grand Canyon National Park series. Over the last 10 episodes, we've covered the best hikes, the hardest hikes, when to visit, the North Rim versus the South Rim, the mule rides, helicopter rides, and now the exact itinerary I would follow if I were planning this trip again. I hope this series helped you make smarter decisions, save time, and create a trip you will remember forever. Next, we are heading to another incredible national park series where we will do the same thing. Find the experiences that are actually worth your time and money and help you plan your own great escape. And that national park is Yellowstone. We're going from one of the deepest canyons on Earth to one of the most incredible ecosystems on the planet. Until then, keep exploring, keep chasing those views, and I'll see you on the next episode.